Ano ba meron sa Pilipinas at pinag-iinitan ang pagkapanalo ni BBM? Ano kaya meron sa panalo ni BBM? Pati mga foreign media ay nakikialam at bitter din. Sa bawat news nila, si BBM ay talagang dinidikdik na anak daw ni late dictator Ferdinand E. Marcos. Pilit nilang nilulutang na diktador si Pangulong Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. Pero bago tayo magpatuloy, so ito na nga mga tol, ano kaya meron sa pagkapanalo ni BBM sa pagkapangulo dito sa ating bansa? Dahil akala ko mga Pinoy lang na may utak talangka ng mga media personnel ang bitter. Pati pala foreign media bitter din. Tulad na lang nitong NBC News, CBC News na nakabase sa Canada. At itong France 24, nakabase din sa France. Bakit kaya ang pait ng kanilang panlasa sa pagkapanalo ni BBM? Bakit kaya sila nakikiisa sa mga mapait din na panlasa ng mga lokal na mga media? Ano bang meron? At napapansin ko na lahat na nang bumibira sa panalo ni BBM ay mga European media. Bakit kaya ganon? Bakit kaya ganon na lang ang pag-ayaw nila kay BBM? Sa bawat balita nila tungkol kay BBM, sinasabi nilang anak ng diktador. Pinalalabas nilang masama talaga ang nagawa ng mga Marcos. Narito mga tol ang balita.
Presidential candidate Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is on the verge of a landslide electoral win. Preliminary and unofficial results have him picking up 58% of the vote, and that is nearly 30 points higher than his closest rival. But take a listen to some of the reaction from Filipino Canadians.
It's a huge blow for democracy in the world. What's happening in the Philippines will affect the region, I think, and might affect the world too.
They spent a lot of money in changing the story that the Marcos years were the golden years, when in fact it's the other way around. So people are believing that.
Marcos Jr. is the son of former dictator Ferdinand Marcos, who ruled the Philippines from 1965 to 1986 before being ousted by a mass protest movement.
Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the son of the former Philippines dictator by the same name, has declared victory. Unofficial results put him on track to win in a landslide against the country's current vice president.
Tonight, a brutal dictator's son winning the presidential election in the Philippines by a landslide.
Let us bring Filipinos back to one another in service of our country, facing the crisis and the challenges of the future together.
Thousands gathered to celebrate the unimaginable victory, a return to power for the Marcos family after being overthrown and forced to flee the country decades earlier.
Any endeavor as large as this does not involve one person. It involves very, very many people.
Preliminary results show Ferdinand Marcos Jr. earned more than 31 million votes, twice as many as his bitter rival and the current vice president, Leni Robredo.
The Philippines is moving from one presidential administration that has been accused of being governed in a dictatorial fashion to one that could potentially be that way. It's that alliance and relationship that has left some folks quite uneasy.
This is my son, Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
Marcos Jr. was a young boy when his father became president in 1965. For 9 years in his more than 2-decade rule, Marcos Sr. declared martial law, a first in the country's history, prompted by an assassination attempt on a chief aide.
The proclamation of martial law is not a military takeover.
During this time, thousands of labor leaders, politicians, and students were arrested. News outlets shut down, and enemies of the president detained, tortured, and even murdered. The family has also been accused of siphoning billions of state dollars during their time in power, something they deny. The family is believed to have stolen between $10 to $15 billion worth of goods. 15 mink coats, hundreds of handbags, and more than 1,000 pairs of shoes are among the valuables the state has since recovered. ousted from power during the 1986 People Power Revolution, the family fled to Hawaii, where 3 years later, the elder Ferdinand died.
So yun nga mga tol, ano kaya sa tingin nyo ang dahilan bakit nakikialam sila at pinag-iinitan nila ang pagkapanalo ni BBM sa eleksyon? Ano kaya ang meron sa Pilipinas at gustong-gusto nilang pakialaman ang soberenya ng Pilipinas? Tayo naman dito sa Pilipinas, hindi naman nakikialam sa kanilang mga affairs, sa kanilang mga bansa. Bakit kaya itong ating bansa ay pilit na pinag-iinitan? Lalong-lalo na ngayong nanalo na naman si BBM. Ano kaya ang meron sa ating bansa? Sa tingin niyo mga tol, ano kaya ang meron sa ating bansa? Ano kaya ang meron kay BBM? Ano kaya? Mga tol, kung mayroon kayong masasabi, mayroon kayong komento, huwag niyong kalimutang isulat sa comment section. At mag-like na rin kayo. Kung bago lang kayo sa ating channel, mag-subscribe at pakihit na rin ang notification bell para updated kayo sa mga bagong uploads natin dito sa ating channel. Thank you for watching.